Welcome to Coach Talk. Hello, Dave. How are you?
Jay. How you doing?
I'm really well. How's your week been?
My week has been epic. And I'll say epic a lot, but I was thinking about, you were going to ask me that question at some point. You were going to say, how has your week been? And when I was driving in here today, I thought about my dear departed father who passed a couple of years ago. And whenever I saw my dad, I would say, hey, Dad, how you going? And his answer was always the same. And he would say to me, well, I woke up again this morning.
Oh, that's kind of good, but a bit depressing.
It is, but it relates to our topic today because he was positive in the way he said it. So I know it sounds a bit sort of morbid and, well, I woke up again this morning as opposed to not. But for my dear dad, who was just a wonderful man who taught me so much, he was in the mindset as soon as he woke up that his day is available for him to do what he likes and make the best of it.
Yeah.
So in the way he said it was actually, yep, I've got a day ahead of me and I'm glad I'm here and I'm going to make it epic.
Yeah, I love that.
So it does resonate with me a fair bit. And I always remember when people say to me, hey, Dave, how are you? My father's words come back to me with, well, I woke up again this morning, but I don't say it because I think sometimes the first reaction is, oh, well, what are you hoping to die or something, which I'm not. But I think the way he said it, and I saw the way my father lived, was he took advantage of being here and he realised opportunities and he made the best of where he was at. Anywhere he was, he made the best of it. So, yeah, I woke up again this morning. Thanks, LJ, for asking.
Amazing.
Yeah, fantastic.
Amazing. Today
Today we're going to talk about a model that LJ and I have known for many, many years, and it's a take action type of conversation and model where you can be one of two places in your life, and it's either being at cause or being in effect. And you may see through some people that have read through this before, we have our own take on this, and this alone I have used in my coaching with groups and individuals, and I've seen immediate results based on people acknowledging this model and taking charge and doing something about it.
And it's a really great realisation because it's not sometimes until you have these conversations with people who are really motivational, who are more at cause, do you then take a step back into your own world and just go, wow, there's so many things that I'm doing or not doing that I have in the capacity to change and pivot and make my experience of what I'm doing even better.
Yeah, sure. So feel free to jump in when you like anytime, LJ, because people do know that what we do here is unscripted. We like it that way. And sometimes, probably most of the time, we have no idea what the other person's going to say, which I love, that sort of energy that we have. So please jump in whenever you like. There are two types of people. In its purest sort of form, there are people that are at cause in their life and there are people that are in effect.
So what's the difference?
So people that are at cause, they live their life in an adult mindset. They are people that want to take action and they want to see results. Mm-hmm. And in being that adult mindset, they make plans, they create strategies, they look at achieving in some way. And it's not just people that are CEOs of companies or our high-profile sports people. It could be anyone that decides to take action, and in taking action, they see the result of the action they've taken. It could be something as simple as someone sitting at home, for example, and the dishes haven't been done. And so they get up and say, I'll do the dishes tonight.
Yeah.
That's being at cause. That is noticing that something needs to be done. They will take action and they do it.
And I think the earliest we teach our children to do this is, well, I'm hoping parents still do this, but my kids always, as they grew up, they got chores to do.
Yeah.
So they had those responsibility tasks that then taught them how to, if they got their jobs done when, by a certain time, or if they wanted to be proactive and get them done a little bit earlier, then the reward was free time.
Yeah, sure.
So I think that's probably the earliest that we teach our kids on what cause actually is.
Yeah, and what I like what you said there, LJ, was reward. When you are at cause and you take action to do something, there has to be a reward for that. And it's either from someone else who acknowledges you or gives you validation on that, or you can reward yourself by celebrating it yourself, which is another podcast again.
There's so many we could talk
There's
about.
so many, but when you do that, you remind yourself and you remind your brain that when I do something good and I achieve, I then will celebrate it. So over a longer period, you want to actually take action and do something else because you'll feel good about it, and then you'll celebrate it. So it then creates that strong neural pathway inside your mind that you want to do things because you know you're going to feel good about it, and then you'll celebrate it, and it just revolves and revolves, and suddenly you're taking action on a lot of facets in your life where maybe previously you weren't.
And consistency is the key here to achieving, whether it's your shopping list, whether it's your chore list at home, whether it's your work tasks. Consistency to get through your, I guess, navigated journey for that day is important. And they've done some big research. I was listening to Andrew Huberman, one of his podcasts. They've done some research through Stanford, which is pretty cool, around it's not the outcome. Like, we tend to reward kids for getting great scores in their mathematics, and we say, oh, you are so great at mathematics, or you're so great at sports, or you're so great at we give it a label. The research has actually shown that when you reward through the effort and you don't labelize it as an outcome, that those kids whose efforts are rewarded have a deeper set programming, that the effort's the main focus, and therefore they're more likely to succeed in their world. It was really, really interesting research.
That's great research, and that ties in parallel exactly to what we're talking about here with taking action. With every action, there's an opposite reaction, you could even say, Einstein. So you've got the other side of life as well, where people do take action, they're at cause.
Is this in effect?
You have in effect.
What's in effect?
So people that are in effect have a childlike mindset. They are looking to blame others. They're looking to play the victim. They are people that do not want to take action, and they just stay where they are. They could be stuck. They are people that are unmotivated, and it's not a good place to be, but there are a lot of people like that, and it's a mindset. Yeah, it is a mindset. So an example of that is someone who sits on the couch and says, I don't want to go out today, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. Or let's go back to the dishes analogy with a family, and maybe mum or dad says, John, it's your turn to do the dishes, and he says, oh no, I did it last week. It's so-and-so's turn to do it. I'm not going to do it. I did it last week. And why should I have to do it again? And they're being, in effect, they're playing the victim and they're looking for blame. Instead of someone who's being at cause says, yep, I'll do it now for you. And they just get it done.
So in effect is really treading water.
Yeah.
And when the boat comes to save you, you tell the boat to go away.
Yeah.
That's essentially where you have the ability to change your circumstances, but you choose to stay in the puddle and just tread water.
Yeah, and it is a choice. Maybe people can't see it at the time, but it is their choice to be at cause or be in effect. It's an interesting thing.
Do you think there's elements, and I think also because we're human, it's light and shade as well.
Yeah.
There's going to be times where you are in effect.
Yeah.
But your choice is whether you stay there or not. And it's okay to be human and have those days where you just need a doona day or a couch day or mental health day, however you want a terminology. Yeah. But don't stay there. Don't take your bat and ball and go home.
Yeah.
Because there's so much more to experience, and the only way to get out there and experience it is to actually cause an effect.
Yeah.
Instead of staying in effect.
Yeah. Tell me more.
Tell you more.
Tell me more. Cause and effect.
To cause an effect means to take action that has reward,
Yep.
which is the outcome of what you did.
Yep. as opposed to being in effect, where you just
in
do
effect, which is
nothing.
treading water and just allowing things to happen to you. One is creating circumstances for yourself to learn and grow, and the other one is allowing it to happen, for want of a better word, in air quotes, to you.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, sometimes that mentality is, I think we can talk about tribal cycles and all of those environmental factors. But at the end of the day, and we've seen it through history, you've got people who have succeeded and they've had enormous amounts of grit, who have changed where they've come from because they chose not to stay there and not to have that existence. Every one of us has that capability and that capacity to actually jump out of the pond that you were raised in. It's not always easy. It's not always comfortable, but there's a whole big world outside your pond.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the point you made about one can not always be at cause. Sometimes we can drop down into being in effect. And the opposite can happen as well. People can be primarily in effect and they can jump up to being at cause when they feel like it. But generally, a person will be one or the other most of the time.
Yeah.
An example of being at cause and going down to being in effect could be, as you say, they're just having an off day, or they just need a doona day, as you say. That's a great analogy. Guys that are in effect, and what comes to mind for me is someone who's sitting on the couch at home and they're playing video games and shutting the world out because everybody just doesn't do the right thing by them. They run out of soft drink. So suddenly they become at cause because they're motivated to get up, leave home, go down the shop, buy their soft drink, buy a bag of chips. They do something that's going to benefit them at the time, but then they return back home, shut the door, and be back into being in effect.
Yeah.
So they've jumped up a little bit, and then they've gone back down to where they are. It's almost impossible to always be at cause.
It's a title. We talked about the boat and, be the master of your own boat, go with the flow, go with the tide. You can alter your response on the tide. You can change your sails. You can turn the motor on. You can enjoy the journey. You can look around at the sunset. The choice is yours, how you choose to navigate it, but have the choice. I guess the other thing that comes to, I'm someone that gets pictures in my mind, and which is why I love analogies, that when I hear people talk, it creates this whole mindscape thing for me. And being at cause is having a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Whereas being in effect is like the flat line. You're just existing.
Yeah.
Are you actually living or are you existing?
100%. Taking action is so important, especially if you want to keep achieving and getting to where you want to go. I worked recently I was over in South Australia, and as you know, I'm part of boxing and I do a lot of that sort of space. And I was asked to do a session with the South Australian Futures team in boxing, which is they're boxers, male and female, that are seen to be potential podium boxers in the future, and they work with them. The head coach from Australia works with them and travels different states, and they select talented athletes to further them down the track towards Olympic level. So I was asked to do a session there, and I did this session with being at cause and being in effect with around about 50 or so people that were there, with parents and young boxers aged between about 15 and 20 years old.
Yeah. And
it was immediate with the results. Immediate. As soon as I'd finished having a really great session with these people, the change in the room was amazing. There were people putting chairs away. There were people putting tables away. There were people helping organise lunch. There were people congratulating me and others, and it was instant to see so many people then suddenly be at cause. It was just immediate. And then I received a lovely message a week later from a coach and also from the now president of Boxing Australia, who said, There are boxers still going to the gyms a week and two later that are at cause.
That's
They're walking
awesome.
into the gym, and these are young athletes that they used to, I don't want to train tonight, I don't feel like doing this, and they were getting their gear ready early, they were in the gym, they were training hard, putting things away, they were respecting each other, the other athletes, the whole mentality had changed. Everything was changed overnight based on one session of talking about being a cause and being an effect, which I found just so powerful. And it's such a simple model, but people can take charge immediately and make a significant change in their life just based on how they see things and taking action and doing something about it.
That's so fantastic.
Yeah.
So when the why is big enough, the how finds a way, doesn't it?
Absolutely it does. And as soon as people look at the why, they can work their way backwards.
Yeah.
And the how will present itself. And I think that's what you and I specialise in coaching as well, as we identify the why and then work back to the how, and we fill in the gaps in the middle with. And I'm sure you've heard it many times. People say, but I feel stuck.
Stuck's great. Oh my
Stuck's
goodness.
awesome.
Do you know what? We were having this conversation before.
Yeah.
This is my favourite part. Not the stuckness, but I guess the frustration point. I know you wanted to lead into this, so thank you so much for
I was
opening
just
the
thinking,
door.
is there a word called stuckness?
No,
There
stuckness.
is now.
There is now. I'm going to add it to Wikipedia. So for me, as a coach and somebody who, I love working in this space, the frustration point is my favourite point.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of, like, I don't know whether you've watched the Harry Potter films.
No. So
No, that's okay. I know your sons probably watch them, or your kids have probably watched them. So go home and you'll have to reference this point. There's a point, and I cannot remember which movie it is, but it always stuck out to me. The herbologist teacher is teaching the students how to repot a plant called a mandrake plant. And a mandrake plant is like a little baby. Then when you pull it out of its pot that it's outgrown, it screams blue murder and it shrieks and it's ear piercing. The only way to, which reminds me of the frustration point, the only way to actually stop it from screeching is to put it in its new pot, the bigger pot, and cover it with dirt.
Yep.
That's the frustration point for me. So in terms of when you hit that point, you're right at the breakthrough stage of being repotted into your new environment that is going to help you thrive to the next level.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great story, because I think so many coaches you and I know will say the same thing as what we're saying now. We love people saying that they're stuck, and we love people saying, I actually don't know, because we can help repot them.
Yeah.
In that analogy, it's the ones that say, I'm stuck or I don't know. Then we start to explore through what we do as coaches to get them to open up their awareness a little bit, realize that there is a different strategy, and to be at cause.
Yeah.
And take action, and then use that adult mindset and let's get you going. And once they start on their journey again and they're unstuck, amazing things happen. And we talk about in the previous podcast, light bulb moments. We see the
Turtle's
light bulb.
journey,
Yeah, we
navigating
see all
your
that.
car.
All of that. And we see all of that. It's an amazing thing. One thing I find interesting with being at cause and in effect is people that are at cause, you and I, for example, we will get along pretty well almost instantly.
Like attracts like.
Correct. What I find interesting is that people that are at cause quite often do not resonate with people that are in effect.
Very true. There's a study as well. I wish I remembered the names of the study. Research study that they did was they looked at people who hung around with people who had IQs. I think it was like 15% more than where their level was at. Yeah. And I guess it kind of lifts you into the new level, and you learn through to take cause through osmosis. Yeah. But it was like a 30% growth in mindset and achievement just by associating with people who are in the at cause frame of work. Whereas if you're in the pond with the people in effect, it actually, the decline rate of your mental acuity and your emotional intelligence declined rapidly. It was something ridiculous, like 45%, I think. But it's really, really important that, and I guess that like attracts like is a reason, like you're either attracted to it because the conversation level is different, the topics are different. What you find is people at Cause, they talk about ideas and concepts and action and journeys. They are always have something beautiful to look forward to. They're planning, they're enjoying the best that their world has to offer. Whereas people in effect talk about people, talk about circumstance, talk about how, usually finances and how bad they are. It's like there's very certain topics that seem to appear in distinctively in each group.
Most definitely. And the same goes for being in effect, like distinctively. I thought years ago that people in effect would not get along with each other because there's negativity and there's blame and there's looking for they're playing the victim, things like that. But I found it interesting that a lot of people in effect actually resonate and get along together really well.
It's like a whirlpool.
It is. And an analogy for that one is, for example, if you have let's go for a guy sitting in a pub and he's having a quiet beer and he's just not having a good day and things are pretty average. Another guy comes in and they start talking. They don't know each other. And one says, I hate my life and this is not going well and that's not going. And the other guy is, I hate my life too and I can't stand this and my wife's giving me a hard time. And suddenly they're both, in effect, they're blaming other people. They're playing the victim. But interestingly, they'll turn around and say to each other, you know what, you're a good bloke. Yeah, I like you. You're a good guy. They're relating to each other in effect. And then somebody walks into the bar and they are at Cause, there will be a disconnect there. They just won't resonate because of the difference in their mentality and their mindset.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. People at Cause can bring people in effect up to their level.
Absolutely.
They can. Maybe for a short period or maybe for a bit longer. But it is up to the person themselves to drag themselves out of where they are. So if someone is in effect, it is up to them to take action, even small steps, get some coaching, get some awareness, motivate and bring themselves to being at Cause. It's so important. It's where you will have growth and it's where you will take action in any facet of your life.
100%. And the beautiful thing is that when you spend the time to talk to people, regardless of status, finances, if you talk to people about their journey, 9 times out of 10, those that are doing something with their world, sorry, my mic's just kicked in, they had to hit the in effect place where they either lost everything, they lost their health, there was a rock bottom. Let's just put it at a rock bottom. They had 2 choices. They could stay there and wallow, or they could, normally something along the lines of, this will not be my life. And they start to build their steps out of the hole.
Yeah, that's a great point. I know we did an event just recently and I asked a question of one of the guys there, and I asked this same question of many people that I deal with, especially through high performance sport and in some media circles that I've been in. The question I ask a lot of people is, at what point did you get to where you were about to throw it all in and say, I've had enough, I can't do this anymore, I'm just going to give it all away? And what changed it to where you are now, being at a benchmark level, at being at the peak of your success? How did it change? And that question for me is saying to someone, at some stage you were in effect.
Yeah.
What did you do to bring yourself to be at Cause? And now look where you are today. What happened? And I get some amazing answers, and the thread through all of this is always the same thing. I just started somewhere and I didn't give up.
I took a turtle's journey. I took a one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
I got off the couch as my first step, or there's always a catalyst for change.
Yeah, yeah. And it seems to be everyone's journey is different in the way they got to where they are, being it through sport media, any other pursuit. But it seems to be a commonality that they just started.
Yeah.
And they didn't stop. And when they had a fall down or they found something didn't work for them, they just got up again and kept going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a challenge, a small challenge for people listening today. And I like doing challenges. And I do this with my clients. I like to challenge them with a lot of things. So this challenge is for you out there. Spend a day just wherever you are, at work or walking around or wherever you are, and identify people that you see are in effect, and identify people that you can see are at cause. And if you take some time, and you can do this sitting at a bus stop or watching people at a cafe or anywhere you like, you'll see it fairly quickly, those that are in effect and those that are at cause. This is without talking to people. This is just looking at their body language, looking at the way they're sitting. You may hear conversation, but it's an interesting exercise to actually gauge, and you'll see it fairly quickly, who's at cause and who's in effect. And you might be lucky enough to actually see a group or a couple where one is one and one is the other.
And isn't it interesting that once you open up your awareness of something, whether it be cause and effect, whether it be, how many times have you bought a car and then all of a sudden, like if it's a white car, for example, all of a sudden, like every second car's white because your awareness of a white car is so much more broad.
Yeah.
But you don't know what you don't know. And once you've hit this awareness point, what it will help you reflect on as a challenge is, first of all, realising it's the two are really evident in all workplaces, families even, communities, sporting clubs. There's always the two mindsets are present. But then when you take a step back, you'll start to evaluate your own language and your own self-talk, and you'll start to work out, hang on a second, I'm either sitting in my little pool and I'm just treading water, or I've actually jumped out of the pool into the ocean and I'm swimming towards the island.
Yeah, I like it. This is a great tool for people to assess where they are at the present moment, and also where they may want to be as well. The good thing is this is so easy also to use to understand with some peace in your heart why people get along with you so well and why other people may not.
And why your friendships change too.
Yeah.
And it's okay. It doesn't matter which side of the coin you're at. If it's working for you, that's great. Where there's no judgment here. There's no, everybody's on their own journey.
Yeah.
But I think awareness is a great thing.
Yeah, it is a great thing. And I like how you say judgment, because we haven't talked a lot about, and we will down the track, about judgment free. And that's one thing that Aljo and I are very, very strong on, is having a judgment free environment when we deliver, when we coach, and when we meet people. So that's very important. And we encourage people to do that as well, and try to be a little bit more judgment free in their own lives, because you couple that with being at cause, and suddenly things just magically happen. Your life improves, and you have taking action, and you're seeing results. And on top of that, other people that have different journeys or doing different things in their lives, you suddenly are aware of it, but you can say, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it for a day.
Yeah.
And then challenge yourself to stay aware of it for a week, and then really challenge yourself to watch how you talk to you and how you talk to others in your environment, whether you're talking to them with cause language or whether you're talking to them in effect language.
Yeah.
Because if you can move your mindset and your language towards having a cause conversation and a cause fluidity about when you're making comments or having conversations, in 3 months' time, your whole world shifts.
Yeah, that's a really good point, LJ. I did a recent some work with a local football club. They're under 15s, and they were a little bit disjointed in the team, and they were pretty good, but there was a little bit of, you could just see that there was a few guys that were in effect, and it was obvious. So I actually brought it up to the team at one of the sessions and said, this has to change. If you guys want to be cohesive, and you must all be at cause. And part of that is what you just said, is in the way you speak.
Yeah.
And your language. And so they wanted an example of this. So the example I gave them was, you lose a game. You lose a football game on the weekend, and as you're walking off the field, one of the team members walks up and says, I can't believe so-and-so didn't pass the ball very well, or they're not fit enough and they're just not performing really well. Versus walking up to a teammate saying, I liked how you kicked the first goal in the quarter and you kept active in the forward line for the whole game and didn't give up. That was a great job. And just relanguaging how you say things just can change the whole dynamic in one person or in a whole team. And this team that I worked with recently, they ended up the season 3rd on the ladder, which is just fantastic.
That's fantastic.
And it's a great result. One thing I said to the coach and to the leadership team of this club was, I actually wasn't overly interested in how far up the ladder they got this season, because we're playing the long game here. I wanted to make sure that the team is at cause.
Yeah.
When they train, they're at cause. When they're playing, they're at cause. Instead of there's 3 or 4 or 5 that's in effect, which then changes the whole team dynamic. If the team is at cause, eventually the results will speak for themselves.
Because they'll naturally lift each other into the action side, and the team cohesiveness and the team morale and the team projection and trust.
Yeah.
Everything becomes exponentially bigger and better.
Yeah, it does, 100%. And we'll talk about this club later on maybe, but kudos to the club and the coach, and they know who they are, and we might talk about them later on. But the coach was very much at cause from the very beginning, and his leadership was great. And that was a very big marker for me to see that what he was doing was bang on the money, was great. And then with a little bit of coaching from us to the team and putting them at cause on game day, and as well as training, as well as getting their gear ready the night before and having everything sorted so they're at cause again, instead of mum or dad chasing them, where are my shorts and where's your this and where's... They've all got it squared away, and they just arrive on game day and their mindset is in a different place to what it was maybe a month ago. And to get the 3rd on the ladder was a fantastic result, and to see the team at cause in so many different circumstances was a big win for everybody, I think.
And once you start that journey, regardless of whether you start it personally and individually, whether you start it in a work environment or whether you start it in a team environment, it has flow-on effects to the other areas of your world, because you start to know innately how it makes you feel to be in that environment and to talk that language and to celebrate and support each other in a way that is really building up the human spirit rather than trying to tear it down.
Yeah, definitely. You never know who's watching you or modelling off you. And if you're at cause and you make that a habit to be at cause for the most of your day, the ripple effect you have on other people, which you may not be aware of, is quite extensive.
Absolutely. So you choose how you influence people.
Yeah. Awareness is key. Being aware of where you are and where you want to be. And that's important.
What a great topic. I'm so glad that you brought this up today. It's been great to explore it, and obviously there's so much more to this, but as an overview of just mindfulness and taking action, what a great conversation.
It's a great topic, and as you say, we could easily delve into this for a long, long time and talk for many, many hours on this, but it's great to just touch the surface on it and give people a bit of an insight as to how we see it and what we do. Would you like to talk about our website, email address?
Yeah, so you can drop us a line because we love hearing from people. And I wanted to do a bit of a shout out just right at the end to say thank you so much to those who have reached out and asked us some beautiful questions. We have loved your feedback. We can't wait to keep hearing from you.
Yeah, we're getting great feedback, aren't we?
We're getting amazing feedback.
Thank you, guys.
And
that's fantastic.
we really love that you're enjoying exploring these topics with us, and we challenge you to, keep exploring for yourself.
Wonderful, LJ. Thank you so much. And once again,
thanks,
love
Dave.
the podcast. Have an epic day.
Have a great day.
See
Enjoy
you on the next
your week.
one. You too.
Bye.
Bye.